And here's another pro tip that shouldn't be as earth-shattering as it is, but admit it. Just admit that you need to calm down. Admit that you're anxious, agitated, overwhelmed, angry, elevated, whatever. Just admit it. Don't judge it. Practice some radical honesty with yourself and admit that you need to take a beat and that you need a moment. Don't try to deny it. And also, don't assume that it's because you live with bipolar disorder. You're a human with real emotions, but you still need to manage this.
You're listening to Inside Bipolar, a Healthline Media podcast, where we tackle bipolar disorder using real-world examples and the latest research.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Gabe Howard, and I live with bipolar disorder.
And I'm Dr. Nicole Washington, a board-certified psychiatrist.
And we continue to get your emails. Please don't hesitate to email us at show@psychcentral.com and tell us what topics you want us to cover. And one of the emails that we got recently literally just said, hey, Gabe needs to calm down. Now I laughed hysterically because I thought, well, I'm going to need to do an episode on how to calm down, informed by Dr. Nicole's years of working as a licensed psychiatrist. Okay, no, I'm joking ever so slightly, but we really did get an email with people struggling to calm down from episodes and from depression and anxiety and things that happen to them because of bipolar disorder. And well, that's our topic.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds simple, like a calm down. But I think there are a lot of people out there, if you ask them, but how do I do that? They wouldn't have really good advice to give you.
It's fascinating, right? Like, never in the history of ever has the phrase calm down actually resulted in anyone calming down. So for our friends, family members, care partners, caregivers, takers, law enforcement, whomever,
Right.
screaming calm down at somebody is gas on a fire. It's the exact opposite of whatever you think is going to happen. And you don't need to take my word for it. This is medical fact, right?
Yeah.
Just like lay down some knowledge, Dr. Nicole.
And if you think about it, the most ridiculous part about the whole thing is that most of the time when people say it, they don't even say it in a calm manner. They aren't even mirroring calmness to you. They're like, you just need to calm down. Who is calming down from this information or this advice? Nobody. At least bring yourself down to a calm level to try to get that person to mirror you. But that's not what we normally see.
This is not an approved, science-backed de-escalation technique. Screaming calm down at somebody is not going to work. Even calmly saying calm down, it doesn't work because it sounds so dismissive. I want to put a little fact in it. You know, we do want to calm down. And if we see somebody upset, we are genuinely trying to help them calm down. I'm going to assume only positive thoughts here. But it doesn't work because what you're saying is I'm paying attention to your emotions and not paying attention to why you're having the emotion. So it's very invalidating. You know, the person is clearly upset, but they're not being Oh, Dr. Nicole disagrees. All right.
I mean, I don't know.
Before on the show.
I don't know that I think it's a bad idea to get someone to calm down. I don't think it's a bad idea to try to help them with that emotion part, because the reality is when those emotions are high and all of that is happening and all that adrenaline is going, none of you can focus on what's underneath it. The person who's experiencing it they can't think about it logically. They can't make good decisions. You can't help them make good decisions. So I do think that we have to focus on the bringing you down first, and then we can deal with what's underneath it. I don't think we can get to what's underneath it unless we get you to calm down.
When we look at de-escalation techniques, and de-escalation techniques are used in customer service, they're used in law enforcement, they're used in sales, they're used in corporate settings, right? We don't have to always assume bipolar disorder and serious and persistent mental illness. De-escalation is a great strategy for negotiating a good deal on a new car, right? But when we look at it, one of the first steps is validation. Validate what the person is upset about. And I want to keep that up because a lot of people like me, with bipolar disorder, people are always like, well, you get upset and we ask you to calm down and you don't listen. What do you want us to do instead? And of course, we get real defensive. I don't know. So I'm bringing this up because so many people, they look at their support system and the support system is just like, I don't know what to do for you. And it's your fault because you won't tell me. So the first 5 minutes of this podcast is all about what your support team can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to segue because that's not what this show is about. The show is about what you can do for yourself because ultimately, and I know I get hate email when I say this, ultimately it's not other people's responsibility to help you calm down. It's your responsibility to help yourself calm down. And we want to give you some hints and tips here.
And for the loved ones listening, keep listening because you are able to help guide people through whichever techniques they decide to use. You can absolutely be a huge part of the de-escalation, of the helping them calm down. You can be a part of this. Just because it's their responsibility doesn't mean that you can't help and you can't support them through it.
Speaking purely for myself, I have worked with my care team to give them some hints and tips to help calm me down. Now, the first thing that I say is nothing's 100% effective, so this doesn't work 100% of the time. But one of the things when I get real ramped up and I'm having trouble calming down is rubbing my back and telling me things like it's going to be okay is really helpful. Conversely, telling me to calm down, telling me that I'm overreacting, telling me that, oh, you're making a mountain out of a molehill, those are very unhelpful. Those bother me a lot. So I know that we need to work with our care team, and I hope, and I say care team, friends, family, right? I kind of hate medicalizing like all the people in our lives as care team. Although I would like to point out we are their care team. Just it kind of hits different when you live with bipolar disorder.
Yeah, that is 100% accurate. And while our loved ones can help us move through these different techniques that we're going to talk about, it is important for you to know what's out there and what's available and try some different things because you may be completely different than Gabe. So you have to try several different things to be able to figure out, ooh, that is something that really works for me. Now let me go share it with all those people that I know and love.
I'm really glad that you said it that way because this is all about the buffet, right? This is all about trying different foods and figuring out what you like and leaving the rest. And I want to add a little thing to that buffet analogy that I think gets left out. Everybody's okay with trying a bunch of foods, and everybody is okay with not taking seconds on the food that you don't like. But nobody should be okay with you standing in front of a food that you don't like and screaming at it and saying that that food is BS and it shouldn't be on the buffet anymore. And so often we put out these blogs, podcasts, articles like that doesn't work. That does nothing. Yeah, it does nothing for you. So try these things. If they don't work for you, move on to something that does. There's no reason to get angry. Calm down. See what I did there?
I see exactly what you did there, Kate.
All right. So let's move into, sometimes the simple answers really are the best. And there's this little piece of me that is just like, I can't believe that I'm about to suggest this number one as really the first line of defense, but breathing exercises. Dr. Nicole, you have really convinced me that breathing exercises work wonder. And they work for me as well. I hate to admit it, like I'm ashamed to admit it, but breathing exercises, talk to us about those.
Do you know how many people I've recommended simple breathing exercises to, and they've thought I was an idiot because they said, well, yeah, I mean, everybody tells you that, but that doesn't work. And when I sincerely ask, have you ever tried it? Most people tell me no. They just assume that it's dumb to think that taking a deep breath when you're in a moment like that will be helpful. But so many people come back to me and say, you know what? Okay, I hate to admit this, but you and all those people were actually right. Taking a deep breath can help slow down your heart rate. It can really help with a lot of those physical symptoms that you're feeling when you're getting really worked up in those anxious moments. You hear about square breathing where you are breathing in for a count of 4, you're holding it for a count of 4, and then you're exhaling it for a count of 4. You're holding again for 4 and you're repeating. You can do this over and over again. It doesn't take a lot of time to do one round, and you can do multiple rounds in a very short period of time.
And what does this look like? I'm asking for a very specific reason, because when people conceptualize this in their head, they're thinking like they're in yoga clothes and they're like on a mountain, and there's some sort of chanting. The breathing exercises just really conjure up this, like, new age. There's a word I'm looking for. I don't know. It just, I think people think that people are looking at them funny, right? Like they're hyperventilating or behaving in some weird manner, when in actuality you're just like standing there breathing.
Okay, well, since you said that, I've done like 3 or 4 rounds. So while you were freestyling about how dumb people are gonna look while they're doing it.
That's not what I said. That's
Okay,
how people
okay,
feel.
okay. Why people feel like they're gonna look dumb while they're doing it, and while you
That's
were
fair.
talking about that, I've done 3 or 4 rounds, and I'm sure you weren't sitting there thinking, "Look at Dr. Nicole over there box breathing. Look at her. Look at her square breathing over there." You were not saying that because you didn't know I was doing it. Breathing is one of the easiest things you can do. You do it all the time. This is just you being more aware of it. This is just you holding it for a count of 4. This is you counting as you exhale, counting as you inhale. You can do that in a meeting, on the bus. You can be at a concert. You can be anywhere and do this technique.
I bring this up because it really is the sort of the patient experience. People with bipolar disorder feel that whenever they're running any sort of defense against a symptom of bipolar disorder or an issue dealing with bipolar disorder, that a giant spotlight comes on them and everybody's paying attention to them, which of course ramps up the anxiety. It ramps up the agitation. It ramps up the whatever it is that's making you not calm. So thank you, Dr. Nicole, for modeling that you're just a person standing there breathing, and nobody knows but you. Now that said, I think that box breathing is great. I think it's, I like it, but you can also be fun with it, right? You can like breathe in while singing, a few lines of your favorite song, and then exhale on the other part of your favorite song. And I like doing that because I pick songs that are cheerful to me. And also, I don't know, I kind of feel a little foolish, doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Whereas I'm like, but maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me in my head while I'm breathing in. I don't know. I just gave Oasis a shout out. I think they owe us money.
And if you have a hard time singing and breathing and counting at the same time, just stick to your counting. It's
I
totally
mean, you're
fine.
singing in your head. That's the problem. It's sort of hard to model, right? But I did not invent this. I want to be very, very clear. But do you remember, during the pandemic when they're like, hey, you need to wash your hands for 20 seconds, and everybody's like, I don't know, what's 20
Yeah. And they're
seconds?
like singing the birthday song or
Sing the
yeah.
birthday song.
Yeah.
And suddenly, so counting to 4 and then counting backwards from 4. I mean, just think of your favorite songs. I mean, just think of your favorite song while you're breathing in. Think of the next line while you're breathing out. It gives the advantage of both doing the breathing exercises and recalling these favorite songs. You can
Yes.
replace song with anything you want.
Yes, and there is nothing magical about the number 4. So don't get hung up on, oh, I think if I sing the first line of happy birthday, it's going to take me 3 seconds or 5. Like don't get hung up on that part. It's the fact that you're focusing on the breathing. So yes, it's singing a song in your head while you inhale, exhale, that is going to be perfect.
I want to build on that and say that I really like the idea of challenging the thought that's causing you the elevated mood, that's making you hypersensitive or anxious or agitated. I really think that's really powerful. And I'm going to use the example of, sometimes I get emails from listeners and where they're like, you suck, your podcast sucks, you're a liar, you're a fraud, you're whatever. And these hurt, especially if I'm already depressed, especially if I'm already, sort of, borderlining on an episode, especially if I had a bad day. And I tend to dwell on stuff like this. And it's really, really easy. There's no breathing exercise in the world that is going to make me think, well, this is not true, because I kind of believe it's true. It's one of the things that I work on therapy and that I struggle with. And challenging it really helps me. Okay, Gabe, there is one person who doesn't like your podcast. What other emails are you getting? Well, we get lots of positive emails. We get lots of comments on the show. We won 2 Webbies. That's not nothing. People speak highly about the show. Healthline Media and their medical reviewers and their legal teams and their copy editors and their SEO people, they're a big company. They say positive things about the show and show its reach and its value. So then I start to reframe, which I want to talk about. Reframing is really important to it's not that everybody hates you and that you're a sucky podcaster. It's that this person doesn't care for your show and decided to send an email. And that has more to do with them than it does me. And by challenging that thought, thinking it through, and reframing it to this is about them and not me, it does help. Is it a magic bullet? No, no, of course not. I'm not perfect. I struggle with these things a lot, but it goes a long way towards my original, which was to say, aha, I now have proof I suck.
Gabe, I really like that you defined challenging these thoughts as a way to help you calm down, because I think in those moments, sometimes you never think to do those things, and they can be so very helpful at a time like that.
You know what else can be helpful, Dr. Nicole? Just releasing the anger. Just just
Mm.
just vent.
Are we
Just get
yelling?
mad.
Oh, are we yelling?
I mean, I really believe, and I'm curious about your thoughts, right? Because I've gotten pushback from the Dr. Nicoles of the world on this. I like the scream into a pillow, right? Right. I like the punch the pillow. Just sometimes releasing the anxiety, the anger, the frustration. And I think there are healthy ways and unhealthy ways to do it. Screaming into a pillow, punching a punching bag, going for a walk, running on a treadmill. These are all healthy ways. Screaming at your spouse, your partner, your children, unhealthy ways to release this anger. But
Yes.
I think that releasing the anger is actually one of those tips that's not talked about enough. I don't think we respect venting enough, especially when it comes to calming down from bipolar disorder. I think you need to release it. But people tell me all the time, like, no, Gabe, you can't give in to your worst things. You can't be punching pillows and screaming and yelling. That's bad. You're the
I
doctor.
mean,
You
I'm
tell me what I got wrong.
I personally don't have a problem with someone telling me they feel tremendous relief if they hit a pillow. I am especially happy if it is a pillow and not a wall and not a person. I can live with a pillow. I can live with a scream in the car by yourself. I can live with going in the backyard and letting one out. I can live with all those things. I think that there's no harm in that. Some people's release, like you said, maybe going for a run. Some people's release maybe going for a walk. Some people's release maybe a punching bag. I mean, I have taken kickboxing before, and not gonna lie to you, it was such a great stress relief on those really hard days to just get it out. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it can be something fun too, physically, like dancing, just moving your body around and getting it out. It can be stretching, but I think all of those physical things, whether it's yelling, screaming, punching a pillow, hitting a bag, walking, running, stretching, dancing, all of those things are ways for your body to just get the energy out. I even think if people go to your social media, there's like a video of you dancing. Or weren't you dancing recently? Didn't I see that?
There was a video of me dancing, and I agree with all of these things. I think what's important for people to understand is we tend to do this, well, that's good, but this is better mentality.
And we're back discussing common strategies you can use living with bipolar disorder.
Somebody's like, well, I scream into a pillow. Oh, well, that's not healthy. You should go for a run instead. We can do this all day, right? Well, instead of going for a run, you should run with, a weighted vest. Well, you should run uphill. Well, you should marathon train. Well, did you buy right shoes? And before you know it, you're actually not doing anything. So, I just want to be really, really clear here. We're looking for simple things. If screaming into a pillow, if putting on your earbuds and walking around the house 2 or 3 times, if these things calm you down, if punching your pillow a couple of times and then you get that energy release out helps you, that's great. But I want to be very clear. The people who are concerned this is going to lead to something worse, they're not wrong either. I think we'd be doing a great disservice if we pointed out that, look, if you go punch your pillow and scream into your pillow and this calms you down and it never goes any further, Gabe and Dr. Nicole are apparently putting but if that escalates to punching the wall, punching the television, punching your monitor, punching whatever, yeah, you've taken it way too far. Moderation is key. We've talked about this on this show before. If you're stressed out and you want to give yourself a little treat and eat a little piece of cake at the end of a long project or a long day, good for you. If every day work is so tough that you need to eat a sheet cake, this is a bad coping skill. And I think that sometimes people hear some of these things and they think, well, I can't do that because it's going to lead to something worse. If that's the case, you're right. Don't try it. But it doesn't automatically have to lead to something worse. And so many people aren't trying very simple, reasonable coping skills because somebody has convinced them that it's a gateway to something worse. And I want to challenge that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. What works for you may not work for somebody else.
And I just love how you brought up that I was dancing on the internet.
You
I
were.
mean,
You were on the internet dancing. I'm hardly
super
ever
embarrassing.
on social media platforms. And I was like, wait, is that Gabe dancing?
It was, and it was a lot of fun, and the whole thing lasted about 20 seconds. And I got to tell you, it was cathartic. Now, I did it as part of an internet trend. I don't want anybody to think that somebody caught me using a reframing or a calming down method. But one of the things that I do use when I need to calm down and I have more time and that I'm at home is I turn on music and I go take a shower. I'm not using like soap. I'm not shaving. I'm just, standing under the water for 5 minutes, listening to my favorite song. And that does so much for me. And now, that's not going to work when you're out and about. It's not going to work when you're at work. But if you've had a really, really bad day, and this is why I'm bringing this up, Dr. Nicole, you've had a really bad day, right? You've got your partner, your roommates, your kids, your family, whatever. Your day was awful. You are walking in and you're ready to fight. You need to calm down. Everything is up, and you're doing the 1980s Terminator looking for a victim. I gotta tell you, the 5 minute shower listening to your favorite song, again, it's just the water. It's just the water on your face and changing your clothes. I have personally seen this do wonders for hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Most of them are not living with bipolar disorder. They're living with anxiety and depression and just stress of life. But there's like something about the feeling, the music, the heat, it hits all of their senses at the same time. And then when they go deal with their family, they've got a nice separation. I recommend
Yeah.
that as well. But again, that's a much bigger lift.
I mean, another twofer, because music alone can also do the trick for you. There are lots of people who have playlists for when they're anxious, playlists for when they're angry. I work with a lot of my patients on developing those playlists when you're not in those spaces. And what does that look like for you to have it ready? So if I'm at work and I'm having a really hard time, and what's my song that kind of pulls me out? If I'm more angry, what's the song? If I'm more anxious, nervous, scared, what's the song? It might be a song that has meaning to you. It might be a song that just the tempo of the song does it for you. It might just be a song you just are like, that's my jam. And it's going to always pull me out. And you can have it at the ready. So when you go into the restroom with your earbuds, you can listen to 30 seconds to a minute of it while you're in the bathroom, and it can help kind of pull you out. I mean, it's just icing on the cake if you can do that and a nice shower. And sometimes we think, well, showering is crazy. Who showers in the middle of the day? Well, it's not crazy at all. I mean, you shower when you want to. That's why it's there. It's in your house. Nobody says you have to only reserve showers for first thing in the morning or at bedtime. If at the end of your workday, it helps you to take a nice hot shower or a few minutes in a warm shower to kind of get you in the zone for the evening, do it. Nobody can tell you when to shower and when not to.
I can't believe we're shower shaming. I mean, of all the things to shame, a nice hot shower, taking some time for self-care and putting some water on your face. But I want to
Yeah.
talk about music for a minute because I love music. And there are so many things that you can do with music to help calm down. And you've hit on most of them, but I want to share just a little strategy that I made. So I made mixes. And I've got the energy mix, right? These are like up tempo, songs that make me feel good, right? They remind me of happier times. Maybe they pound the nostalgia button in a good way. They're songs that I have happy memories associated with. But I think everybody makes that list, right? I've got the key. All right, are you ready? Are you ready for the key?
I'm intrigued.
I think it's okay to make a sad list. I've got my emo jams, and that's the honest to God name. They are called emo jams, right? And they are just sad songs. They are just songs that allow me to tap into feeling sad, and that things have happened that I don't like, and that I have feelings that I don't want. And I listen to these songs with the music, and they make me feel better. And you're like, how does that make you feel better? Because I don't feel alone anymore. I feel like not only did somebody write that song, so clearly they understand the feelings, but somebody recorded that song and that song became a hit and made its way to my radar. So that feels really good. And then I think of all the other people who have heard that song and are aware of that song. So there's my tribe right there. Some of these songs I've seen perform live. So that reminds me of concerts that I've gone to, an experience that I've had. And you're like, you get all of that from like a sad emo song? And I'm like, yes, I do. And I think that people skip that a lot. I think that there is, again, your mileage may vary, but sometimes I just want to hear a sad breakup song and just mope for a minute. And then it just like slowly pulls me out of it. I think
Yes.
everybody just focuses on, the high energy, up
Yes.
tempo, upbeat songs. And we're, Avril Lavigne, she needs a shout out here, being our pop princess, our emo queen. She has written more sad songs that make you feel better than anybody. And I don't feel that she's getting her due. I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm
I'll
sorry.
take your word for it. I don't really know any Avril Lavigne songs. Sorry, Queen. But
You don't know Avril? Come on,
I
she has Skater Boy.
I don't. Sorry, Queen. It sounds like I should, but I don't.
She's
Um,
incredible.
but I do think that there can also be a happy medium. There is a principle in music therapy, and therapists use this all the time, where you start with whatever mood you're in. So you can create a playlist that is, this is my sad playlist, this is my angry playlist, this is my anxious playlist. And you think of a song that reflects how you feel in that moment, and you might play a little bit of that music, but then you slowly start to shift the playlist to where you want to get to. So I may not want to end this 30-minute sad, but maybe I want to spend the first 5 or 10 minutes in my sadness, and I want to sit in my feelings, and I'm going to play Avril Lavigne, obviously. And then I'm going to transition to songs that start to move me in the direction I want to go. And that's a great playlist to have, not just one that's just sad or just happy, but just one that in order takes you through the emotions you want to get through.
I love that. And this next advice sort of works the same way as music works. Music overwhelms your senses, via hearing, but I want to overwhelm our senses via touch. And, one of the things that really helps, and again, it's so simple. I almost didn't want to put it in the podcast, but, stress balls work. Stress balls, koosh balls, fidget spinners, tactile things. They just work. Now, everybody's heard of stress balls. Everybody's heard of koosh balls. They're really easy to find. But one of the best tips that I ever got a long time ago is to carry something in my pocket that centers me. And I'm always reminded of Scrooge McDuck's number one dime, right? If Scrooge McDuck had anxiety, he should carry his number one dime. Yeah, you've never heard the lore of the number one dime?
I have literally never seen Scrooge McDuck, and I know nothing about this dime.
Oh.
No.
So Scrooge McDuck, of course, has the giant money pit that he can somehow swim in without breaking every bone in his body. But
Okay.
contained in the money vault is the first dime that he ever made. Remember, Scrooge McDuck is a self-made billionaire, and at one point he made a dime, and he keeps that dime because it's his number one dime.
Okay.
And he says in the show that it reminds him of how hard he needs to work and everything that he worked for. Now, please don't send me a bunch of emails on greed and how he doesn't pay well. And yeah, we get it. It's not that kind of show. But the thing to me is that this dime is important to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he uses it to motivate him in business. Okay, apply that to our things. What is it? Is it a chip that you got from a support group? for attending for 6 months? Is it something that you want? Is it a picture? You hear about law enforcement who keeps pictures of their families in their hat so that they can, look at it to be centered. I'm looking at, tactile, so something you can keep in your pocket and touch. And for Christmas one year, I got a fidget toy I can carry in my pocket. And it's real quiet. It's silent. I can sit there and just hold it in my hands and play with it, and nobody ever notices. And this helps me calm down, and I can play with it in public. And the reason that I point this out is because beforehand, I was chewing my pen. I was tapping my fingers. I was ripping paper. I was doing things that the people around me noticed and thought was either A, odd, or B, annoying. And once I started, getting fidget toys, but again, I hear about people who use their lucky quarter, a pennies from heaven is a thing. Well, I found this penny and it reminds me of my grandfather and now I carry it around. Whatever it is for you, it's just a tactile thing that can be grounding. And I will say, pro tip, ideally it should be silent. It should be something small you can carry in your pocket, carry
Yeah.
on your person that doesn't make noise when you touch it.
Using the senses is a very popular way that people manage these overwhelming physical sensations that they have. And it is something that you can do in silence that no one has to know what you're doing.
Dr. Cole, it reminds me of a woman I worked with a long time ago. She was an executive and she had a lot of employees and she had to listen to like a lot of things that like really amped her up. I mean, it just really annoyed her. And what she would do while they were talking is the multiplication tables in her head. 1 times 1 equals 1, 1 times 2 equals 2, right? And then she'd get, the more they talked, the higher that she'd get. And I met another guy who would do the alphabet backwards because he had to be like real deliberate about it. Z, Y, X. Okay, what's X? W, right? And this just kept his mind off of it. And I really thought about those centering techniques. I personally just recount like old 90s alt rock lyrics, and this keeps me grounded. But whatever works for you, nobody's going to know you're doing it. You're just sitting there with your poker face. That's what I love about it. You're not using your hands. You're not engaging your body. You just got a pure poker face. This is all in your mind, but it's keeping you relaxed. It's keeping you focused. It's keeping you centered. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Again, I want to draw attention. We tend to think that when we're running this interference, everybody is watching us. Like a giant spotlight comes on. Gabe Howard with bipolar disorder is currently doing the following things to relieve his own anxiety, anger, agitation. He needs to calm down. All right, everybody, watch him. Look, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
When in actuality, what happens is nobody's thinking about me at all. Nobody's thinking about us. But if we don't do these things and we have an outburst or we yell, or we lose our temper, and then we start hearing that, well, you need to calm down, or, well, Gabe, I think you need to step out of, see, then people notice. So the very interventions that we're often not doing are the things that lead to people noticing that we need interventions. And I think that's super important to point out. Dr. Nicole, you said something earlier that popped in my head. You're like, get some tea, get some coffee, take a drink. And I wanted to save this to the end because it's always a little bit of a sticky wicket to suggest, managing stress, anxiety with food, because it can quickly become problematic and get into eating disorder territory. So I want to point this out because, one, that is my lived experience. I was managing panic and anxiety disorder with eating, and I weighed over 550 pounds, and it caused, I was definitely self-medicating with food. But that said, there is a large body of data to show that people get stressed out when they're hungry because they're not eating enough, or people's blood sugar drops, especially as we get older. It would behoove us to eat a banana to manage that stress, or to have a low fat snack, or to eat a vegetable, or, as you pointed out, get a coffee, get a tea, get a water, do something ritualistic that you can engage your taste buds. But I do want to put the warning, and I imagine you as a doctor want to put a lot more. It's not, oh, you're under stress, order pizza, because if you were anything like me, I was a stressful little nugget, as you once called me. I ate a lot of pizza.
Well, I think you do have to be mindful of what it is that we're bringing to the meeting as our comfort drink. A lot of coffees and some teas, may contain caffeine, and that may be in direct opposition to what we're trying to accomplish. So being able to be mindful of those things is very important.
Dr. Nicole, we have covered just a lot of ideas to try, and none of these things are super high level. right? If you are having serious panic attacks, serious anxiety, if you are not able to go to work, leave your house, if you are so agitated, you are punching walls, people are concerned, including yourself, about violence. If you are unable to function in daily society, then you need to have a heart to heart with a medical practitioner. You need to sit down with a Dr. Nicole and point out that this is very serious and it is impeding your ability to live a good life. It is worrying you and it is worrying the people around you. So of course, all of these hints and tips were, I hate to say like regular overwhelming, regular anxiety, regular needing to calm down. But I don't want anybody to think that they're going to just like, resolve severe and persistent anxiety and panic disorder or agoraphobia, the inability to leave their house, or they're too terrified to drive a car. And they're like, what we did is we made a playlist and then we put a dance on Facebook. And now I'm back at work.
And now I drove halfway across the country on a road trip. It was great. No.
This was not for this. This is for the everyday regular stuff that if left untreated, if we ignore it, it can become a real big problem real quick.
Yeah. This is the stuff that sometimes the medication and the therapy have helped you so far. And then you have these little moments that pop up and you're like, why is this happening to me? I'm on meds. I go to therapy. These are the tips and tricks that can help you manage those moments.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Nicole, for hanging out with me. I'm really glad that during this episode, we didn't have to tell each other to calm down. I think that shows that all of our interventions worked.
Yep, I'm just over here while you're getting on my nerves. I'm kidding.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this episode of the Inside Bipolar podcast. We need a few favors from you. Wherever you downloaded this episode, please follow or subscribe to the show. It is absolutely free and you don't want to miss a thing. And hey, can you do us a favor? Recommend the show to everybody you know. Share your favorite episodes on social media. Send somebody a text message. Are you in a support group? Bring up the Inside Bipolar podcast in that support group. This is a free resource. Remember, recommending the show to the people you know is the key to how we're going to grow. My name is Gabe Howard, and I'm an award-winning public speaker, and I could be available for your next event. I also wrote a book. It's called Mental Illness is an Asshole and Other Observations, and you can get it on Amazon, but you're not going to want to do that. Because if you go over to my website, I will sign the copy for you and send you some free gifts. That website is gabehoward.com.
And I'm Dr. Nicole Washington. You can find me on all social media platforms at Dr. Nicole Psych or on my website, drnicolepsych.com.
And we will see everybody next time on the Inside Bipolar podcast.
You've been listening to Inside Bipolar from Healthline Media and PsychCentral.com. Have feedback for the show? Email us at show@PsychCentral.com. Previous episodes can be found at PsychCentral.com/IBP or on your favorite podcast player. Thank you for listening.